What is up, guys? Welcome back. I hope you all had an awesome and safe Independence Day. I hope you have all of the digits that you started off with 48 hours ago.
Yep.
I know it's getting wild out there, and I know you feel like you're going crazy, but trust me, you're not. Take heart, dear friend. You found a place to be refreshed with a little bit of common freaking sense. My name is Chris, Green Beret, medic, husband, and father.
And I am Pastor Eric, which makes me a pastor, and I'm a father because I have children. But that's not what makes you a real father. Anyway, moving right along, back to you.
And I am one of those children. All right, guys, this week, the big idea, just how are we supposed to be doing this freedom thing? We're going to tell you we got who's who and what's new, and then we're going to be keeping the main thing. The main thing may surprise you to find out that Jesus wasn't necessarily a nice guy. Let's get into it. All right, guys, excited to get into the big idea this week. And in honor of coming through Independence Day, which is absolutely one of my favorite holidays of the year, we're going to do an Independence Day themed big idea. And the big idea for this week is, boom, how are we supposed to go about doing this freedom thing that our founding fathers gave to us, right? So if you go back, you read the Declaration of Independence, Thomas Jefferson does a beautiful job in enshrining the idea that we have certain unalienable rights, and that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, right? And that liberty one is the right that, the God-given right that I want to zoom in on. How do we go about exercising our liberty? A lot of people today think that liberty is, you know, the freedom to do anything that I want to do. Hey, man, if it feels good, if it makes you, if it blows your dress up, joke intended, right? Like, go get it. But I'm going to push back on that, and I'm going to argue and say that that is not what the Founding Fathers meant when they enshrined or when they stated that we have liberty as a right given to us by God that government is supposed to protect, right? What they were saying and their understanding of it was different than ours today, is that we have the liberty given to us by God by virtue of being children of God. We have the right of liberty to do the things that we should do. Not the things that we want to do, anything that we want to do willy-nilly. The things that we should do, because there are certain things that we should be doing and things that we shouldn't do, right? What do you think about that?
Well, I'm going to throw in a couple of things here. Let's start with being children of God. They believed that in our Protestant evangelical background that we have, we're going to come from the point of view, and they did too, that a child of God is a person who has been redeemed, born again, some have heard that, but a follower of Jesus Christ, one who has adopted that belief. Now, here's what is interesting. Our forefathers believed that it didn't matter if you were a born again person or just a non-believer. It didn't matter to them, because their understanding is that all people are a creation of God. Therefore, all people are children of God. Just some are redeemed, some aren't. But every one of those people have these rights given to them by God. So the whole,
which is the whole point of the line, that they are endowed by their creator. All men are created equal, and they are endowed by their creator with certain unalienable rights. That's exactly what that line meant.
Yeah, and Jordan Peterson has a whole argument that he brings out that somebody as a female tried to corner him on the sexism and racism that is found in the Word of God, and he starts off by saying, no. In the book of Genesis, everything is equal, and all the way through the Bible, even though God chooses one people to be his storytellers of him into all creation, he is for all creation. There is no difference to him. When he breathed into Adam the breath of God, Adam gave that to all people. They're all his children. Just some choose to acknowledge him and to break a father's heart. There's some that don't. And then this issue of liberty is like in the idea of when a ship comes into a harbor and the captain of the ship goes, okay, you can go ashore. I grant you the ability to go to shore. That is called liberty.
Liberty.
And so they can go ashore, they can participate in that local culture, but they are still subject to all the rules and regulation of the people, and yet they're having liberty. Mm-hmm. It's because they are free from the ship. They are not retained. They have the allowance to go and to become a part of everybody else.
Right.
But that can be taken away from them, and they lose their liberty, and they are literally back on the ship and incarcerated. But that when they're on the land, they still have to follow all the regulations while they are on the land. They do not have the freedom to do whatever they want. They can get in trouble by the local law enforcement. They can find themselves in really, really bad shape. And if they're part of the U.S. Navy, that can get them into international trouble. So they're not free to do whatever they want,
right,
but they have the liberty to leave the ship and become a person in that city.
Right.
So difference between liberty and freedom.
Yeah.
Back at you.
Yeah, that's an excellent example too. So when I'm saying that, the founding fathers sought to set up a government that would protect the right given to us by God to do the things that we should do, my biggest example is going to come from the original settlers, the original pilgrims that came here in the late 1600s. And why, right, did they leave the Anglican Church of England to sail across the sea to set up colonies in the New World, right? The entire reason that they left was for religious freedom, so that they could do the things and worship in the manner that they believed was prescribed to them to worship God, right? They were being confined by the Anglican Church of England, and so they came to the colonies so that they could worship in the way that they saw fit, in the way that they believed that they ought to, right? So a lot of people, when they remember the Bill of Rights and what's your First Amendment right? It's the right of free speech. A lot of people like to remember that one. Well, it's also the right to practice religion, to freely assemble, freedom of the press. There's a lot that goes into the First Amendment, but of those first two, freedom of speech and freedom of religion. And why was that enshrined first? Because it goes all the way back to the reason why the Pilgrims and the Puritans came here in the first place, right? And so because of that history and seeking freedom from religious persecution, when the founding fathers set up the government and they said, like, here are our unalienable rights that we believe that God gives us, that freedom, or that right of liberty that you're talking about that they have, right? That's why they understood it as the right to do the things that you should do, not the right to do anything that you want to do. Because the entire reason that they were there in the New World in the first place was because they were saying, we believe that there is a way that we should worship God, that we are prescribed to worship God, and we are being restrained from doing that. Right? And so that's why we're here. And so in that same manner, the same liberty that they enshrined for us today is not just the freedom to do anything that you want, but the freedoms to do the things that you should do. And then another piece of evidence to back this up comes from a famous quote from John Adams, who said that the Constitution was made for only a moral and a religious people. It is wholly inadequate for the government of any other. You see, the founding fathers didn't think that they were going to have to make certain rules and govern all aspects of the lives of the people that lived in the colonies, right? Because they all had the same religious excuse me, and the same moral framework that they lived their lives under, right? It was the Bible, the 10 Commandments. That may offend you, right? That the founding fathers and the original colonials lived according to the morals found in the Bible, but that's just the truth of the matter. This is a nation that is built on Christianity, right?
Right.
And
this may be, let me throw in a little caveat here, because to hear you talk, some people listening to us may think, wait a minute, we got laws about stealing, we got laws about murdering,
sure.
we got laws about all that kind of stuff. Not what you're talking about. What we're talking about are the fringe things that are starting to creep up. We're starting to have nudity in the streets, nudity at the White House. We're starting to have debates over what are drugs that we can have, what are drugs that we can take.
Right.
Can we be intoxicated and go around? Can we be strung out and be operating things? We would normally say in a moral society, my goodness, no, you're going to hurt somebody.
Right.
That's not right. You're hurting yourself. Don't do that. But now the common sense, the whole reason why we're here is because really you don't automatically just know these things.
Right.
That's where we're at.
Yeah, and that's exactly that is the final point that I was going to make, and I appreciate you jumping in and nailing on that. Guys, you do have the right to life, the right to liberty, the right to the pursuit of happiness, but that right of liberty is not just you can do anything that you want to do. There is a manner in which you should live your life. There is a such thing as good and a such thing as bad, and the founding fathers were seeking to protect your right to be able to do the things that you should do, that every decent, moral person understands that they should do.
Maybe sometime we should take a debate, and I know we got to go. We're out of time, but maybe sometime we should take a debate and talk about the behaviors that are bad for society.
Yeah.
It's not the reason why you don't have the freedom to do this is because what it does to our society.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe we ought to ferret that out just a little bit.
Hey, look for it coming soon. Thanks, guys, for hanging out this week, and we hope you stick around for Who's Who, What's New, and keep the main thing the main thing.
All right.
See you then.